Let's go!
I was checking out the scouting report, and I don't see nothing but bums. You and your whole entire world know that I am the one. You and your squad ain't got nothing for me. Hey. Your organization is looking stressed. What? And now that you haters is running from me, I know that you see that I'm highly blessed.
Here we go. Yeah, we live with your boy Coach G. Yeah, we live with your boy Monte.
You and your squad ain't got nothing for me. Your organization is looking stressed. And now that you haters is running from me.
Episode 12, we are here. Welcome into another episode of The Rewind, wherever it may be, or however you may be watching or listening. I'm the captain of this ship, the man that's going to dictate this thing from start to finish, Monte Moss, alongside my co-host. Not no ordinary co-host, a co-host that is a cheap son of a B and who still owes me dinner. But March Madness is here. Final Four is almost here, coming down on Saturday. But we got a lot to talk about. We got some good people coming on. Definitely want to give a special thanks to them and for them gracing us with their time and their presence. But my co-host, Chicago's finest, Temple alum, 4-time state champion, over 400 career wins in his co-head coaching career. Been officiating as over the last 26. Coached both football and basketball. Football first, Bryant. Got it right this week. Football first. And he is also in the Newark Hall of Fame, but doesn't need any introduction. My main man, my brother, the co-host, BG, Bryant Garvin. What's good, brother? Good to see you.
What's up? I'm not cheap. You know, next week where we're going to be. So I'm going to remember everything you just said. Watch.
What's good, brother? How you doing?
I'm going to give you the meat. Pause. I'm going to give you the meat. But I'm going to give you the bone. I'll take the meat. Pause.
What's good, man? Final Four is here. Can you give us a quick update where we at with this financial advisor dream? Because the people have been asking me. So I told them I would deliver on my promise is kept. Where are we at on that, my brother?
Test is April 26th. Had a couple of deaths in the family and had to attend to those this coming up week or two. And then I'll be back and I'll be ready to take that test on April 26th.
April 26th, folks. I'm still going to ask them next week anyway. But Bryant, man, we got some good people coming through. This person in particular, you know very well. You guys have had your history over the years, both mutual respect amongst both parties. I'm not sure how this is going to go because normally you don't see these type of things happen often, but only on The Rewind these things happen. Shout out to Brian. But this person that's coming on has been officiating for over 23 years. He has been a rules interpreter and a cadet trainer. This brother has done tremendous work in his career, working in all three levels, Division I, Division II, and Division III. He was also invited to an NBA DL camp in 2011. His first ever college game officiated was a Division I game. He loves to officiate, but also more importantly, he loves to train officials even more. One thing about this brother, he has learned over the years that coaches, players, and fans know nothing about the rules. I'm sure Brian can relate to that as a retired co-head coach. But without further ado, we want to thank him gracefully for inviting us and taking his time to come on. Mr. Darryl White, New Jersey's finest, one of the greatest officials to ever bleed New Jersey basketball. He knows everything from the sport from top to bottom, from Group 1 to Group 2 to Group 3 to Group 4. Darryl, man, we appreciate you taking the time coming on The Rewind and join us. How are you, my brother?
Hey, good evening. Good evening. Thank you for having me here this evening. I appreciate it.
Always, man.
Darryl, I know it's late, man, and I mean, I'm happy as you came on because we just had to clear the air here a little bit amongst the coaches and the officials, and I give you a lot of respect, and we've talked a lot of, many nights, and I've been involved in one of your meetings before.
Right.
But I let you clear the air here, to everybody in the world about officiating because this is worldwide. So just let you know, you got to come straight today, baby.
I'll do my best.
Darryl, man, you've been officiating for over 23 years. You just wrapped up another season, this past high school season. Congratulations again on another job well done. I do follow you on Facebook. We're friends. I watch your work. One thing I will say that I respect about you, that you give a different perspective than other officials, that you don't have a problem taking the time to explain things to people when they don't understand. I think that's something that you don't see often from officials because many are private in their own lives. They don't really be on social media much, to each his own. But for you, man, like, what does that mean for you when you actually, see people on Facebook, rather it's my sports group or other sports groups that you're in, that talk so much blatant crap about players or plays or things that could have gone wrong, but you just come in from a humble perspective and give them the insight that, they're not used to seeing because they don't know the rules. They haven't seen a rule book or studied it, but you do. Elaborate a little bit on that.
I think ultimately in our profession, nobody knows what we do but us, and everybody else assume that they know what we do. So it's easy to approach situations from a standpoint of I know everything and you don't, but and that's not always the case. However, I think when I approach conversations with the standpoint of just trying to give information and help people gain understanding, I think it makes for a better conversation. So I just try to come at people in that aspect where they're just trying to, we're in a learning environment as opposed to I know something and you don't, because what we do is hard and and people really don't understand what it is. So I try my best to provide that information to people.
Yeah, so some of the times that during the course of a basketball game, Darryl, and things can get a little bit hostile, with myself and with the officials. But one of the things that I always wanted to say is I respect you big time because our communication was extremely important. The way you explain things to me, something that I may have not seen or I may get wrong. Mm-hmm. What is your take on officials actually communicating with coaches on the sideline on all levels that you actually officiated?
Well, it's a lot of ways to answer the question, but I think I'll go this route. American basketball in itself is confusing because we have 4 sets of rules. We have NFHS, which covers everything from high school down. So that's high school, rec, AAU, stuff like that. Then you have NCAA women's, you have NCAA men's, then you have NBA. So most people will only quote rules or mention things that they think they know. And more times than not, it comes from what they see on TV. So I'll give you a quick example. I don't like to mention names. I don't like to mention referees in schools, but I'll mention schools. I won't mention schools. There was a play recently in the state tournament where a team scored a goal with under 15 seconds to go. And the clock kept running. And by the time the team inbound the ball was a foul, it was like 1 second on the clock. So everybody's up, the refs cheated, they didn't stop the clock. Well, NFHS rules, the clock doesn't stop on made baskets. NCAA women, NCAA men's, NBA, FIBA, the clock does stop on a made basket in a minute. So people are only quoting what they see on TV, not understanding that the referees did nothing wrong. You can say it's a bad rule, but the referees didn't do anything wrong. So when it comes to communicating to people that are hostile or whatever, I always tell people it's like in a marriage. If we're going to yell at each other, we might as well not talk because nothing's going to be gained. Excuse me. Nothing's going to be gained. However, if we're willing to listen to each other, then we can gain something there. So I only try to communicate with coaches that are willing to communicate with me. If you don't want to talk to me, I won't talk to you. But keep in mind, once you tell me you don't want to talk to me, don't come back to the fourth quarter and try to talk to me. You establish the boundaries. I'm gonna respect the boundaries you set. I won't talk to you.
Right, and that's universal as well because I felt the same way with talking to some officials that they didn't want to talk to me. So we just kept those boundaries, and I respect it, but accept the consequences as it comes down the line. Mm-hmm. What do you think personally? And I've always wanted to ask this question: do you think personally that all the rules should be universal on all levels to eliminate the difference between what's a foul, what's not a foul, how you play defense, etc.? Because I think a lot of the fans are getting confused on what's a travel, especially on Instagram and Facebook. You see all these different Euro moves now that everyone's moving like a computer or a video game and doing all these tricks of what travel actually is. What is your take and your opinion on universal rules and how they kind of be infiltrated on all 3 levels?
Again, I think that's a great question, and there's many ways to answer it. So I'll go this route. Let's look at the last 7 or 8 MVPs in NBA. None of them were born in America. But keep in mind, in FIBA basketball, you play FIBA rules from the time you're 5. In America, again, we have 4 sets of rules. So you go through this progression of rules to where there's no continuity. For instance, the biggest being the shot clock. I always say this, and most people that know me know I'm biased to Virginia because I pretty much grew up as a man in Virginia. But here in New Jersey, we don't have a shot clock. And you see these guys come out of New Jersey and they're McDonald's All-Americans. And you look up 4 years later, you be like, where you at? They don't know how to play basketball.
Correct.
You just was the most athletic guy in the gym.
Correct.
But you don't know how to play basketball.
Correct.
And not understanding the shot clock, time, score, when to foul, when not to foul. You know, it's a problem. So if we have more continuity in our rule sets from high school to college onto the pros, it would help us. And again, if you look at what's going on globally, the FIBA players are taking over because they play they play one way from the time they're 5.
Right, and I'm going to agree with you, and it also kind of hinders a lot of coaches that can sit there and hold the ball for 45 freaking minutes, and
Right.
you know what I mean, to win a basketball game. It's forcing them to actually learn the game.
Right.
They may know it, but that's just not good basketball. You can be strategic with the clock as well and make it more entertaining. That's my opinion behind it.
I agree.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Darryl, you've seen New Jersey basketball for a long time. You officiated big games. You've seen the rise and sort of the fall of basketball in New Jersey in a sense. Obviously the players over the course of these last 4 to 8 years have kind of just trickled away. And now we don't get what we've used to seeing in terms of big time matchups, especially from a public school standpoint. Bryant could attest to this. But Darryl, with next season approaching, of course, you guys have meetings in the off season preparing for a new year. What are some things that you would like to see change to help better the game in the state of New Jersey?
Well, for me personally, I'm all about training. I'm going into year 23, so I'll be 46. So I always joke with the people that I mentor and say, from this day forth, I'll always be able to say I refereed for over half my life. With that being said, the emphasis on training has dwindled, and the appetite for money has increased. And while I'm not opposed to people getting paid to do a job, I still want them to go through the apprenticeship and the necessary steps to learn the job. You got guys referee 1, 2, 3, 4 years, and now they want to go to the ACC camp. And I'm like, that's not how it is, man. When I was coming up, you started, you did this, then you went here, and then you went there, and then you went. It was a progression of how it now. My story is an anomaly. I did go from high school to Division I. That's not regular. However, there are steps to take, and a lot of guys want to skip the steps, and a lot of guys want to get to the money, guys and girls for that matter. They want to get to the money. So I would like to see more training, more emphasis on training, and I'd like to see a merited-based approach to this, where people are being rewarded for what they actually do, not being rewarded for who they know or what they know or what coach likes them, what coach doesn't like them. I believe that the best referee should ref the best games.
Right.
And those who are not as good, I don't think your time in the profession should garner you any more favor if you're not as good. Where I come from, we used to have a motto: get better or get bitter. So if you're not up for the job, you're not up for the job. And if you've been around 20 years and you're not ready, you're just not ready. So that's my biggest thing. I would like to see more training. I would like to see more training implemented.
Go ahead, Bryant.
Well, I'm going to agree with you. I think it's a two-way street as well with coaches. A lot of coaches are actually coaching and really don't know how to coach. And basically they want to come out there and try to tell officials what they're actually doing, which actually they're making a mistake themselves. I think all the way around, if both coaches and officials get together, and I've been asking this for the past 25, 30 years, that, only official that I really sat down and talked to was you. And you explained to me a lot of the different rules, and it kind of brightened up my light bulb that some of the things that I may not have understood and continue to teach my young men during practice of what they can do and what they can't do. But, my hat goes off to you explaining those particular rules. But if we all can get together and, come to some common ground and have some continuity between the officials, players, and coaches, I think the game would be that much better.
There was I remember you came on my thing last December, 2 Decembers ago.
Right.
And after we did that, people asked me, they said, why doesn't the powers that be, why don't they do what you did. And I'm like, I don't know. I just think it would be natural to say before the season starts, especially in the last 2 years, right? We got the flopping rule. We went to the 5,000 a quarter, you shoot 2. We got the coach's box violation. We got the new uniform rules. I'm like, in October or September or November, why can't we get all referees and all coaches in an auditorium that we're all getting the same information at the same time and that people can ask questions? That way, when you show up to a game and the visiting team doesn't have white like they're supposed to, you can't say you didn't know because you were at the meeting. And right. now we can assess the proper penalties. Like, I don't understand why we don't bridge the gap between coaches and referees where there's some type of dialogue preseason so we're all on the same page. I don't understand it.
I'm going to agree with you, and I just wanted to say that one segment because you brought something up with with jersey wearing and white, and that year that we had gray jerseys, and we were made to go all the way back to the school and change jerseys into a darker color because we was on the road. Yet the gray jerseys and white, but I've seen other teams actually do that. So I'm sitting here looking at it and the continuity. I'm like, wait a minute, you mean to tell me that you made me waste an hour to go back to school to get a change of jersey, but yet you're letting a Catholic school actually use their gray jerseys, but yet gray is not their color. I mean, you can't be that, bias of making a public school go back, but the Catholic school is going to do their thing inside of Union County. You just can't do it. I mean, come on. It's like lying to me in my face. Why would you do that to me? So me, Darryl, I'm going to investigate those situations. I'm going to put it out there with no names,
yeah,
nobody. And we talked about this, and I feel disrespected because you made a grown man get in his car and go all the way back to his school for 30 minutes each way. I'm upset about that.
There are a lot of inconsistencies in rule enforcement, and we need to kind of streamline that. I would definitely agree.
Yeah.
Darryl, we know that you're short on time, but before you go, man, there's something I got to ask for the public because the public wants to know and they need answers. And damn it, I'm going to make sure I ask the question. We're down to four teams this Saturday in the Final Four. Who do you have winning both Final Four games, and who's your pick to cut down the nets in Houston? I'm sorry, San Antonio.
Sorry. This is for the men. Okay.
Yes, for the men's side.
So in the pool I'm in, I originally the bracket I'm in, I originally picked Tennessee.
Okay.
So they're out. With that being said, I've been following Kelvin Sampson's team for years. I love their style of play. I love their grit, their tenacity, physical defense. So while everybody's going for the obvious, I'm gonna go with Houston. I'm gonna go with Houston beating Duke. I'm gonna go with Auburn to beat Florida, and I'm gonna take Houston to beat Auburn in a tough knock them down, drag out game.
Darryl's pick is in. Houston Cougars to win the national championship in San Antonio on Monday. They will be cutting down the nets. Darryl, man, we appreciate your time coming on the Rewind. I hope to see you down the road soon for a much longer time because there's some things we got to talk about. But, man, appreciate you, brothers, always. Bryant, your take.
Hey, appreciate your time, Darryl, man. I look forward to you coming back on probably after AAU season, and, we can chop it up a little bit more.
I thank you, brothers, for having me here.
Always.
I love what you guys are doing with the page on Facebook and here. And anytime you need me, or anytime you need technical advice or refereeing advice, give me a call and I'll be happy to discuss it with you.
Thank you.
Will do. Darryl White, the great official, 23 years in the business, New Jersey's finest. What can I say, Beth? Gotta love it. Our next guest, we got two. This sort of like a family affair. I feel like each week Bryant has some relationship or some connection with the individual one way or another. He was Bryant's former player at Eastside. He was a former Eastside alum like myself. He grew up where I grew up at. He's older than me, but this man's a loving father. He is a Jake. I will explain that at some point on tonight's show, what that means. A man of God and faith, a proud 76ers fan, and he roots deeply for North Carolina's men's basketball. This picture here, I'm like 14 years old. We're not going to talk about that night. That night is a night we shall forget. Man, nothing more that I can say. He's watched me grow. He's watched me. He knows my family very well. Our families are very connected and have good relationship to this day. I mean, here he is here. He was at our GSC 3 sort of like a welcome member party that we had. Hoodies were given out to all the members that supported us from day one. And, this brother here has been supportive on my journey. We've had some instances. We had some fallouts. That's what brothers do. But one way, shape, or form, we always come back together. We have those uncomfortable conversations. But Bryant, man, how do you feel about your former player coming on tonight, man?
It was a pleasure to see him.
Let's talk about this pick right here. Whoa. Bring him on, Chris. Bring him on, Chris.
Whoa.
What is this?
What an introduction. What
is this?
Wow.
This is Bryant Garvin, 1996, all over again.
Watch yourself. Watch yourself.
Brandon, man, can you give us some details of this picture here, man? What's going down, man?
Brandon, I taught you well.
Casino Resort. Yeah, I was in Vegas.
My man, Brandon, appreciate you taking time. Come on and rewind. Man, we got a lot to talk about. Your Sixers may be included, but what's going on, brother? How are you?
I'm doing good. How's everyone?
Doing well, Brandon.
Another week with this guy. What can I say? However, I have one more guest I do want to bring on. This woman here is really, really, really dope in her own way. She is a woman in sports. You know me. I do support women in sports movement. I've been down with it since day one. She's a rising star in sports journalism. She's a senior at the University of South Carolina and a student Emmy nominee journalist with a passion for storytelling. With experience in anchoring and reporting, she's covered South Carolina's athletics extensively, from the Gamecocks football team to the powerhouse women's basketball program last summer. She took her talents to ESPN as a stage manager intern, working behind the scenes on some of the network's biggest shows, including SportsCenter, First Take. But she didn't stop there. Over the past few months, she's been on the move with TNT Sports after receiving the prestigious Oscar Pope Lift Every Voice Fellowship. Through this opportunity, she's covered major events like the NBA Cup in Las Vegas, the NHL Winter Classic in Chicago, where Brian's from, and most recently, the NBA All-Star Weekend in San Francisco. This fellowship has given her a chance to work closely with the network, interview professional athletes, and learn from top on-air talent while covering these big moments. She's dedicated to the craft, constantly working to sharpen her skills, and seizes every opportunity that comes her way. This is what I like to hear, folks. I want to bring on South Carolina's finest, Mrs. Courtey. Holloman is in the house. Courtey, we appreciate you taking the time. Come on the rewind. I love what you're doing. You're kicking ass and taking names in the world. You're grabbing this world by the neck and saying, get me in here. I want it. You've done great work in All-Star Weekend. I want to congratulate you on that. I'm sure that was a tremendous experience that not many people get to experience. But what's going on, Courtey? How you doing?
Nothing much. I'm doing good. How are you?
Go Gamecocks.
Yes.
Well, you know, I'm not sure it's Brandon's rooting for, but, you know, we'll get to talk about that as we go on. But, Brandon, man, this women's NCAA tournament, man, how do you feel about it, man? You think the Gamecocks got what it takes to win it all, or do you think Geno's got something in the bag? Maybe he's.
You know what's funny?
What's funny?
I think UConn's going to retake the throne. I think Geno is back. They got the program back in with big, and nothing to South Carolina because I want them to win, of course, but Geno is back. UConn is back.
Geno is back. UConn is back. Paige Buckets is here. Notre Dame's out. I'm all pissed off, Brian. What's going on, man?
Look, I told you earlier that Notre Dame wasn't going to be in the final. I told you this.
I know, man. I know.
Listen.
Olivia Miles was hurt. Olivia Miles was hurt. I got it. Olivia Miles was hurt.
She could have been there herself.
Wasn't herself. Okay.
She could have been there herself. She wasn't going to. I told you who's going to be there. I'm just surprised that LSU always choke around this time. But I thought they would wind up getting to the Final Four, but they didn't. However, UCLA, big hats off to them.
Yes,
but
yes.
Everyone wants to see South Carolina and UConn. It's just what it is. It's destined. I'm going to put some money on that game to be the finals.
Okay,
it's just what it is. I said it in the last segment. That's what everybody want to see.
That's where
everybody wants to see the best two coaches go at it.
Well, before we get into women's, let's get into the men's. Recap of last week, of course. One for the ages. Elite Eight has just broken down. We're down to 4: Auburn in Florida, Duke and Houston. This one right here, these teams, man, big ups to Auburn beating Michigan State 70-64, as well as Florida beating with their win 84-79. Michigan State, man. Auburn got him. I mean, Bryant, you've been big on Auburn saying, of course, they got the 25-year-olds, but we did see Mr. Pettiford destroy my Wolverines with over 20 points and then giving Tom Izzo all the hell in the world in their win over Michigan State. Auburn, Bryant, you're not surprised with this win over Michigan State, are you?
I'm not surprised because Pettiford stepped up. I mean, he took over the second half and just flat out dominated the game. They didn't have an answer for him. With me, my adjustment with that, I would have denied him the ball after the first 2 shots that he made in the second half. They made no adjustments to him, and he just absolutely destroyed them. They just couldn't recover. So, my hat goes off to Pettiford. He's a freshman, and his career is going to be long. He is phenomenal. He is.
You don't think he leaves this year, do you?
No. I think he stays. I think he's going to develop underneath Bruce Pearl. I'm surprised that Bruce Pearl can actually coach a young man like this because he usually chokes around this time. But Pettiford is the real deal.
Yes, indeed. Auburn's in the Final Four. Courtney, let me bring you in here. Auburn's been one of the best teams, if not the best team in the SEC. They do have a rematch with Florida. We do know that Florida has the 1-0 advantage with the win over Auburn earlier in SEC play. But what do you look forward to seeing in this matchup between Auburn and Florida, and who do you think is going to win?
Well, Auburn and Florida, I'm not going to lie. I'm really looking forward to seeing how not just Auburn adjusts, but also Florida. Like Florida, we've never seen a team in the country that is able to, flip their favor as quickly as Florida has. Like, think about their run in the tournament. They've come from late game deficits into dominant wins, like down 9 with just 3 minutes left in Texas Tech. They close on an 18-4 run. Like that is something that is key for the Gators. The Gators know how the game is never over for the Gators. And with Auburn, what we just saw in their last game, I mean, their main player went down, came out, and still made a difference, but they still had to adjust. So just seeing how they capitalize off of Florida's ability to just really go at it and never stop playing, I'm really interested to see how they're able to keep up with Florida in that way.
Brandon, you love an SEC matchup. You love a Bigs matchup. We do know that Auburn's Johnny Broome is the best player, as Courtney brought up. He did have a scary injury last game, but he was able to come back. Auburn had enough just to get it done. I thought Michigan State just didn't have enough firepower in terms of offensive explosive compared to what Auburn has to match up to their level, or better yet, have what it takes to overcome. And let's just face it, Auburn is the best team, one of the best teams in the country. When you have 25-year-olds that are playing, it's kind of hard to beat. You should know that. But B, who do you have this upcoming Saturday between Auburn and Florida, and who do you got winning?
Auburn and Florida, man. Florida, they play at a high pace, up tempo, but this time I think Auburn they gonna figure them out, and They going to the championship game.
Championship game. I can't believe it. Bryant, you don't think Florida has a shot in this game?
Well, I got Florida winning this because of Bruce Pearl's inabilities to get to the final. He's never gotten there. I think he can kind of hesitates on making adjustments on newer teams. But this is a familiar team. But Florida is really just that good. They're physical. It's going to be hard to match up against them, especially if that one young man doesn't play. Pettiford is going to be swallowed because he's really a small guard. He's athletic and stuff. But I think he's going to struggle during this particular game because everybody's going to be at 100 because it's win or go home. I think that Florida basically goes to the finals along with my guys, my personal guys of Houston.
Well, early in the season, Pettiford did struggle against Florida at home, 4 for 11 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3, finished with 14 points. He did turn the ball over once. He wasn't really a factor in that game, but we know what it comes down to for this Auburn team and what it's going to take to beat Florida. But we do know that it will be a guarantee, regardless of who wins on Saturday. This will be the first year that all 4 head coaches have no Final Four NCAA tournament or championship wins. Kevin Sampson, Bruce Pearl, Todd Golden. If you don't know, Todd Golden was Bruce Pearl's director of operations when Bruce Pearl first got the job at Auburn in 2014. Fast forward is student versus teacher on Saturday. So I look forward to that. And, of course, Jon Scheyer and the job that he's done at Duke after taking over for Coach Krzyzewski 3 years ago. Speaking of Duke, 85-65 over Alabama in Newark, New Jersey in the Elite Eight a few days ago. Alabama just had nothing to test for to against Duke. Duke's size was just amazing. Tyrone Proctor, I think, is one of the key players for this Duke team. He completes this team from a guard perspective and the guard play, because this is what a championship team looks like. They have the size, they have the athleticism, they have the speed. Defensively, they're long. They can stretch the floor. Cooper Flagg is the best player on the floor when it's all said and done. Brian, how surprised have you been with Cooper Flagg's play this year? Because I know for you weren't really high with him going to Duke in the beginning of the year. You thought UConn was the place to be, but Cooper Flagg has been the best player in the country as well as one of the best players in the ACC. What's impressed you with Cooper, and did you expect Duke to be here in the Final Four?
I kind of did expect him to be in the Final Four. I think Cooper Flagg is by far probably the best player. I don't think he's the best athletic player, but I think he's overall the best complete player that you will probably ever see in this year's draft, because he's probably going to wind up coming out. The Duke ability to put up 100+ points in a 48-minute games, I think is how many minutes in a 40-minute game, however it may be, in a 40-minute game is phenomenal. I mean, they've done it not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times throughout the course of a year to put up 100+ points. That's very hard to 20-minute halves. I just can't see how they're continuously doing it. But yet, when I go back and I watch film, I see how they're able to do it, because no one's really playing that hard, tough defense like you saw Baylor back in 2021. They're not getting any pressure. So pressure breaks pipes. You have to pressure this team, and slow them down and keep them under 100, keep them under 80 if you can. Any team that come here and plays against Duke and keep them in the 60 range, they're going to beat them. It's just what it is. Keep the ball out of Cooper Flagg's hands. Make everyone else try to beat you, and you'll be fine. I think Cooper's going to get his 15, 20 points, but just keep him at that level, and then just basically shut everybody else down, and you'll be all right. And Houston come home, and they wind up being in the finals. They're playing against Florida.
Courtney, Duke versus Houston. Duke 35-3 in a year. Houston 34-4. Cooper Flagg, of course, playing over 30 minutes a game. He can score a double-double at ease. This Houston team's no joke at all. We know what Cryer can do. We've seen, obviously, the physicality and what this Coach Sampson team has been throughout all year. It's sort of been their DNA in terms of just committing to the defense first. It's worked for them so far in the tournament. But what do you look forward to seeing in this upcoming matchup with Duke in Houston on Saturday?
Just how Duke is going to match up with Houston's physicality, like you said. I mean, this Duke team has everything, as we've been saying this whole time. This Duke team has everything that they have to cut down the nets in San Antonio. They're number one in the country for a reason. They've looked the part throughout the entire tournament. I mean, Jon Scheyer has done an incredible job in his third season, and to put it into perspective, like, he is the first of Coach K's former assistants to reach the Final Four, and it's just his third year. And not only that, he is the first to coach with the team to reach the Final Four since Coach K in 2022. But this is the first time that Duke has reached the Final Four without Coach K in 45 years. Like, let that sink in. The last time that they reached the Final Four has always been with Coach K since the 70s. There was no three-point line, no shot clock, none of that. So this environment and this atmosphere that Duke has and that Jon Scheyer has created with Duke, that's a big deal. But what's even crazier is just how smooth the transition has been. It just doesn't feel like Duke has missed a beat going from Coach K to somebody new. And, he's more down to earth. He's more relatable. He's built a team that trusts him. And, as a player, you want a coach that you can connect with, not just somebody who knows the X's and the O's. And so just because he's built that trust with his team, seeing how they want to play for this coach and they want to take this team to the next level, that is what keeps this team going throughout the entire tournament. This is the NBA caliber team. They have the people. Everybody can do everything. But just the trust that they have in this coach, that is what keeps this team going. And that is what is going to be the key for this team throughout the entire tournament. Yes, Houston is physical. Yes, they play rough. But this team playing together, that is going to be the key for them to go past this team. Just the ability to play together. Everybody can do everything. You can't play hero ball. That's where you start to mess up. So being able to play together and have all those components mesh into one, that's what I'm looking forward to seeing from the team.
My thought process with this game is speed. I don't think Duke is that fast of a team. They remind me back in high school we had this team, Seton Hall Prep, basically to pack it in defensively and run a lot of high pick and rolls, and they usually throw their little hand up like this and run high screens all the time and use their bigs. This is what they remind me of, and any team that has a fast, speedy team, I think they're going to beat them. Alabama, I didn't think that it was that explosive, that quick. I think they was hesitating. They didn't play their A game. You had to play your A game against this team. You really did. And Alabama just didn't. They were just all over the place, and they played Duke's game.
Yeah, I think I want to give credit to Jon Scheyer where credit is due. He's done a phenomenal job taking over for the program since, of course, his mentor, Coach K, who's been with for 6 years, as well as he's got recruited by Duke and won a national championship with Duke in 2010. But many people don't know that Jon Scheyer originally applied for the DePaul job 2 years prior to Coach K's retirement, and a lot of people thought, including Jon Scheyer himself, that he was going to get that job, but the grace of the good Lord, it just didn't happen. And then 2 years later, he takes over for his boss on one of the biggest, if not the biggest, Power 5 blue blood program in the country. And he's done everything that everyone thought he couldn't do. Everyone questioned his recruiting ability. They wasn't sure if he would be able to recruit. They questioned his coaching ability, if he was able to coach in big time games. But he's been knocking on the door. He has the tournament experience, which is good. But right now, I think this is his best year yet since he's been at Duke to have a shot to win the national championship. And he's got them right in the Final Four where a lot of people had him. I know I did in my bracket. I know Bryant, Courtey, and Brandon did as well. But it's hard to stop this Duke team. Jon Scheyer mixes up in multiple ways with his offensive sets. He knows how to move the ball and without Cooper Flagg being the main vocal point of attack. Cooper Flagg, of course, can run the floor. He can bring the ball up. He's explosive and he's dangerous. I mean, he can beat you in multiple different ways. I'm curious to see how Houston comes out, how they match up against it. I'm sure at some point early in the game, I look to see if they're going to throw some traps at him, try and make it a little bit harder. As Bryant said, even if you force others to beat you, Duke has the firepower to do that, to beat you without Cooper Flagg. You need at least 20-25 from Cooper and about 10 rebounds to have a shot to beat Houston, because you can't sleep on Coach Sampson's team. But Brandon, you're a North Carolina fan. You've lost to Duke 3 times this year. I know that sucks to hear. It's not North Carolina standard where Coach Hubert Davis at the helm. But how dangerous is this Duke team, and do you think they have what it takes to beat Houston on Saturday?
Well, I include that this Houston team may be one of the best defensive team that Duke is actually going to face this season. However, they're one of the best all-around team on both ends of the floor. I mean, Witten, like piggyback off what Coach Garvin said, Witten without Cooper Flagg, this team's a huge threat here. However, if Houston defense can really let up on them and slow Cooper Flagg down, I can see them going all the way here.
Courtney, let me ask you this, because you've seen both teams play pretty much throughout the year. You've already seen the tape of what we've seen Duke do against Alabama last game, as well as Houston. Do you think that Houston has a shot if all things align perfectly, because you're going to need a lot of things to go wrong to beat Duke, and that's Cooper Flagg having a bad night at the office? Do you think Coach Sampson has what it takes to win that chess match against Coach Scheyer in the coaching box and Houston beating Duke on Saturday?
I do think Houston has what it takes, but the key with Houston is they play with so much physicality that in a game like this, when it comes crunch time, you don't want to be that physical and get unnecessary fouls. And that's going to be your downfall if you get unnecessary fouls if it's crunch time in a game. I mean, Duke has won without Cooper Flagg before. We saw it in the ACC tournament. They didn't have him the entire tournament, and they still won.
Yep.
But with Houston, physicality is good. Defense is good. They are probably the best defensive team, as we've been saying. Defense is good, but you need to know when to control it, when to apply that pressure, when you need to do that. And that's probably going to be Houston's key to winning this if they want to make a win or a push in the national championship and to beat Duke in the Final Four.
Houston's 69-50 win over Tennessee. Florida and Texas Tech, Bryant, I was a little nervous, man, for a minute. Florida was down 10, about 4 to 5 minutes play left in the second half. We've never seen Florida been down in the tournament this year yet. Adversity was knocking on the door, and somehow, some way, they answered the bell and got over with the win over Texas Tech. Bryant, what was some of the things that impressed you with Florida's comeback late in that second half to pull up the win over Brian's gone? So now we got to piggyback to Courtney. Courtney, What impressed you most with Florida's win over Texas? Brian's back. Here we go again. I'm changing sides. This is just the power of the host, as be. Brian, Florida down, adversity face knocking on the door. Florida had what it took to overcome that and to get the win, to move on to the Final Four. What impressed you most with this win? And did this win show you enough for Florida to check the box to beat Auburn on Saturday?
Florida is just so big, man. This team here, they remind me of an NBA team. I'm looking at them like, hey, you're going to have – you got two physical teams with Houston and Florida, and you got two finesse teams with Duke and Auburn. It's just like it's going to be the battle of the fittest. It's one of those things that, you can say that Houston can win it all, which I truly believe. But you can sit there and say that it's going to be a Houston-Florida thing. But, whoever's in shape in the last 5 minutes of either basketball game is going to win this thing. It's just what it's going to come down to it. I don't see Duke. I don't think Duke is that much of a fast team, but you can't leave them wide open for open threes. They're going to knock them down. You're going to have to be in shape to play this game. And it's probably going to be one of the better Final Four sequences that we've seen in a long time. No Cinderellas, just flat out playing with the big boys. You probably got like 20 NBA players with some bench players that also can play in the NBA sitting right here in front of you and getting used to, knowing some of the names because you're going to see them for a long time. It's going to be a great show.
This is why you can't have cheap Wi-Fi, folks. This is a perfect example why you can't have cheap Wi-Fi. Let's get into it. Final Four picks Saturday, as well as a national champion. Brandon, I'll start with you. Well, Brandon's gone, so now we have Courtey. Give me a 2-screen, Chris, with Courtey and myself until we get those two situated. Give me a 2-screen, me and Courtey. Courtey, this is see how God works. You got your host and you got the guest side by side. You see how God. Didn't I just talk to you about this on Friday? Look at God. Look at God. Courtey, we're down to 4. Auburn, Florida, Duke, and Houston. I want your takeaway first, and I'll follow up behind you. Who do you have winning both Final Four games? Let's start there. Who do you have with Auburn and Florida? Who wins?
Okay, I have Florida.
Okay. Florida and a national championship. Okay.
Florida.
Ooh, the student beats the mentee. Okay.
Florida just thrives in big moments, and you need that.
And you think Auburn doesn't?
I mean, Auburn does, but Florida just they make quick decisions, and to me, Florida's just smarter with their decisions and stuff.
Yeah, I'll be honest, Courtey. I don't trust Bruce Pearl if my life was on the line. I'm gonna just be honest. I don't trust his coaching at all. And if anybody knows Bruce Pearl better than anybody, it's Todd Golden, who's been with Bruce Pearl for a long time. This is his 6th season as head coach. The last 3 years of Florida, they've been tremendously well. This is the first time that they've been in a Final Four since 2014. But they haven't won a national championship since the great Billy Donovan in his back-to-back years in 2007, 2008. Let's piggyback to the other side. We got Duke and Houston. Who do you have winning that game, and who meets Florida in the Final Four on Monday night?
I'm going to have to take the easy road out. I got Duke winning it, and I got Duke winning it all. And I know you're going to be like, Courtey, that's cheap. They number one. I'm right there. Duke has too many weapons. They're too versatile. They don't flinch about offhanding assignments because everybody can do everything. You got bigs guarding the 3-point line. Like, if that's not versatile, I don't know what is. And then they are a freshman-led team, but they don't play like it.
No.
They don't play like it. Their weakness, in my book, their only weakness is their experience, and they haven't been rattled this entire tournament.
No.
So,
we haven't. Go ahead. All right, Brian. Welcome back.
It's just I don't know what the hell is going on here. But, I think somebody is kind of pissed off at the fact that I keep putting up Houston and Florida. Maybe they don't want Houston and Florida to fucking play. Who knows? But my thing just keep kicking off. Anyway, Florida, Houston, I think it's going to be the final. It's going to be a physical one. It's going to be a great one, and probably the best Final Four we've seen in some time.
Okay. So Brian's got – who do you have in the Final Four? Houston and who? Florida?
I got Houston, Florida,
No. Who's in the big game? Who's in the big game?
Houston, Florida.
Houston, Florida. Okay, so see, Brian don't trust Bruce Pearl either.
No, I don't trust his ass.
Bruce Pearl is like his coaching is like you know how like you ride past a nice car dealership and you see that nice car, it looks so good, you want to drive it, but then like you don't want to go in that dealership because you know that MSRP tag is too much money and the sales tax is too much money and the interest rate is too much money. That's Bruce Pearl and Auburn. They have the firepower to win. I just think that Todd Bolden and this Florida team, when you face adversity in a tournament, especially in big moments like the Elite Eight, where you're down 9 and your season is literally on the fence, where if you don't get shit to go up together, you're going to lose. That was Florida a few nights ago against Texas Tech, and they found a way to get it done. Auburn hasn't really had that test this tournament. They pretty much smoked everybody and won. I know beating Michigan, they won by a double-digit margin. Michigan State, we knew that they didn't have what it takes anyway coming into that game, despite the great Tom Izzo and his coaching, as well as his team, Jeremy Fears at guard. You got to have the firepower to match up. Florida has that. Florida's 1-0 against, Auburn this year. They beat Auburn on the road. So that gives you all more of what you need in terms of having your team ready to go in a big game like the Final Four. I look forward to this game on Saturday. I think it's gonna be one of those games that's gonna come down to where, as Bryant and Courtney said, this could be, or it can be, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, Final Four team or games that we've seen, because we have 4 number 1 seeds. We haven't seen that since 2008, where Kansas won that year with Coach Bill Self, Mario Chalmers, and others. But I'm going to take Florida over Auburn. I'm taking Duke over Houston. I know Houston's just like that girl you just can't get with. You've been trying for so long and you just can't get her. But then Duke comes in. It's like they just come in right through the back door. And it's like, man, like all eyes on us. We demand everything. And I think John Shire, with him winning a national championship as a player, I think that plays a part also. He has a great staff. And when you got the best player in the country in Cooper Flagg, a walking lottery pick, I just don't see Duke struggling, Bryant. I really don't. I'm sorry.
And Courtney, he just had a pause there. He just said they're going to come through the back door.
Yeah, you've been looking at the girl all night in the club, and you be like, damn, man, she's hot, man. And then you see somebody else walk in, and you be like, man, it's just all eyes on her. Like, there it is. There's that diamond in the rough. That's Duke. Diamond in the rough. Valid. Duke wins over Houston. Duke in Florida. I'm gonna go with Duke to win the national championship. I mean, I've been right, but I've been wrong in the tournament. I've been right where it matters most. Brian can tell you that, Courtney. But I just think when it comes down to it is that this has just been a magical run for all 4 teams when you look at it. But Duke is just something about him. I mean, you can make the argument for all 3 other teams in this tournament, but I got Duke winning the national championship. Duke cuts down the Nets on Monday night, and Bryant, I'll see you Tuesday morning.
Sure.
Moving on.
I can't believe I got to get on a plane with this fool, but it's gonna be a long journey.
Courtney, South Carolina's finest. Let's switch gears to NCAA women's basketball. Update on that. Man, tough news, of course. I would have loved to see Juju versus UConn this year. If you don't know, USC did beat UConn earlier in the season. I think in November, if I can remember, if my brain serves me correctly. But we're down at 4 in the women's bracket also. UCLA, who's been the number 1 team in the country. They've been the number 1 team in the Big Ten. They are Big Ten champs for a reason. South Carolina, no surprise here. We know, obviously, with this Coach Dawn Staley team and her teams and what they do in March Madness, as well as the damage that they do in March, does not matter what they do in the regular season. They are SEC champs, as everyone predicted, even though everyone kind of had their eyes on Texas. Again, Texas is that sneaky link. You just can't get away from them. You just can't get enough. Hook them, baby. But this is going to be 2 good games coming on this weekend. The Final Four between UCLA and UConn. Courtney, let me go to you first. UCLA and UConn. These 2 teams here. I mean, I just think that they match up well. Paige Buckets and Geno. Geno he knows what it takes to win. I feel like this is his best year yet. If he's going to make a run, his last few teams in previous years, as they made those Final Four runs, just didn't have enough. But what do you like in this UCLA and UConn game, and what matchups do you look forward to seeing on this upcoming weekend?
What I always like to say, and actually somebody said this to me the other day, that UConn, everybody else in this tournament, time shareholders. UConn, they own real estate. They're always here. They're always here. But the thing is, let's go back to like the UConn USC game. Obviously,
Yes.
we didn't get the matchup that everybody was anticipating with Juju Watkins and Paige Beckers. What UConn did in that USC UConn game was UConn's loss. USC's loss to UConn was definitely a tough one, but Juju Watkins being out, I think definitely played a big role in that game. Like without her, USC lost their go-to offensive option.
Correct.
And that gave UConn an opening. And in the Elite Eight, we saw like players from USC like Kiki and Kennedy Smith and Marshall step up in those big moments. But against UConn, it was a different story because UConn recognized that this is not the same USC team without Juju. This is not. And with that, credit to Sarah Strong. Of course, she stepped up big time, especially defensively, shutting down Kiki, who was USC's number one option since Juju going down. She held Kiki to just 10 points. And so UConn's defensive game was definitely on point, and taking away USC's secondary options was definitely a turning point in that. And on the offensive end, Paige Beckers, need I say more? Like, nope. Paige Beckers, need I say more? Like, she dropped 31 points, adding 6 assists to the game. Like, of this magnitude shows why she's one of the best players in the country. And honestly, let's not forget, this is her 4th Final Four, and this is her last shot at a national championship. Like, correct. I mean, she's declaring for the draft. So if it's my last shot at a national championship, darn it, I'm doing everything I can to make sure I'm getting this one. I'm getting mine. You know what I'm saying? And right. So she's been playing at that insane level. Like, she scored 105 points in UConn's last 3 games. That's unheard of. Like, adding the total, that's crazy. Damn. But what makes this UConn team so dangerous is that not only do they have Paige Beckers.
You said it right, Paige Buckets. You said it right.
Paige Buckets.
Paige Buckets. Not only do they have her, but just the combination of her, AZ Fuzz, Sarah Strong, that's, in my opinion, and, I love my South Carolina.
That's a three-headed monster right there.
Carolina girls, but those 3 are probably the best offensive players in the country, just the best offensive trio in the country.
Correct.
And so just their perimeter power is elite, and that's what helped them, overcome that lack of like size in the post. And that's what I'm looking forward to in this UCLA game. UCLA got Lauren Betts, huge post player. Nobody really is able to match up with her. But the key to that is UCLA needs to score on the perimeter. Because UConn can make up for their lack of size in the post. They can shoot you lights out from the perimeter. And that's the key. That's what I'm looking forward to. Like, throw the scouting report out with the Texas USC game. We've seen that 4 times. This one, I'm interested to see what is UConn's plan for Betts and what is UCLA plan for Paige Beckers. Like, what's the plans here? Because it's got to be something. Because each team has something that they can do. So
yeah,
that's what I'm looking forward to.
I don't blame you. I mean, look, when you have a trio like that can score 68 points combined in a basketball game, just 3 players, 68 points, that's just hard to beat, right? And UCLA, let's face it, they haven't been one of the best defensive teams this year in the country. Defensively down low, we do know they have the size, they have the presence to beat UConn. But when we talk about guard play, UConn just has the advantage. I don't see UCLA beating UConn this weekend. I just think, again, when you have someone like Paige Buckets, who's overcome every adversity or obstacle she's faced in her college career, from injuries, being out an entire year, to having Geno blessedly having that extra year to come back, it's just been something that Geno has been fortunate to have. And let's not face, she is one of the all-time UConn greats when you mention her name with the other UConn greats like Maya Moore and others. But UCLA, I think they struggle. I think UConn gets to the semifinals, Bryant and Courtney. I just don't see Geno losing, because this run right here is personal. And as Bryant said earlier, everybody wants to see Geno versus Dawn. It's a rematch, the one everybody wants to see.
I don't want to see that.
But look, I want to see that sneaky link
I don't want to see that.
I want to see that sneaky link win too, but we might not. I mean,
you talking about everybody. I'm looking for everybody too. I'm not everybody. I want to see that.
So go ahead, Brian.
I want to see it. I think a lot of fans want to see it. I know, because Geno calls himself the he thinks that he's the scientist to women's basketball, and whatever he says trumps everything. And I got to give him his flowers because he's won it many times. So, but he won it many times under different circumstances.
Correct.
No NILs and none of that other transfer portal. So now, ever since that has come into play, he's been struggling to get here. So is he a great coach, or is it just the fact that they recruit a certain kind of way before the rules were dropped? So I just leave that right there. That's just what it is. I know what goes on, but you know what I mean? Because I was there. But at the end of the day, now he's got to recruit. He's got to go into NILs. He's got to do this. He's got to do that.
Got to go in that portal.
He's got to play the game, and he's blessed to be here. I think he wants to win this one before he cuts it loose and eventually retires. Because I don't see him going on too much longer. He has really nothing else to prove, unless he just want to do this to the day he dies. Other than that, I don't see UConn winning. I know Randy. Do
you see the sneaky link winning? You think Texas can get South Carolina?
No, it's weird. This is another weird one. It's going to be a great one. It's going to be a great one. It's a weird one. I don't think Texas is going to get South Carolina. I got to take South Carolina. That's my own girl. It's just what it is. Even though Texas is tough, but I don't think they're South Carolina tough.
35-3.
What does that mean? This is the Final Four.
And they've had key quality wins in the tournament. I mean,
everybody's 0-0.
Well, they're in the Final Four for a reason.
Well, hell, 30-3. All right. So in the men's league, Drake was 30-4. So and they was going after the first round. So what does that mean?
They just had a tough matchup that year.
It means nothing.
Okay.
Everybody's 0-0. So I got South Carolina playing UConn.
Okay.
For the right, and I had to change it because I had USC winning it all because of
what?
I really did. I really did. I had Juju winning it all.
Oh my God!
But she got hurt, so now I got to go with South Carolina.
Courtney, you see what I got to deal with every week.
Hey man, look.
He really thought in his big thick Chicago skull. Because I don't know if it's his experience in Chicago or if it's his experience in Philly or his experience in Newark. I don't know what was going down in that brain of his when he saw that bracket.
You said I can go with South Carolina. Like we just the side piece. Like we don't want it. We don't want your picks.
South Carolina was good before. They're okay now. They're okay. They're not as good as they used to be. You had some tough-ass teams before. This year, they're not as good, but I think they're just as good as everybody else. That's why I'm putting them in the finals. If they had that team they had last year and the years before, I'd be like, God, they're going to win it all. Turn off the TV. Don't even need to watch it.
Well, okay. I mean, let's think about it. Since we're migrating to South Carolina now, South Carolina and Texas. South Carolina's run in this tournament has been different from like the years past because this isn't a team, like you said, with overwhelming opponents and pure talent and dominance. Like before we had Aja Wilson, we had Aaliyah Boston, we had Camila Cardoso. Instead, this team, relies on depths and defense and all that and like late game execution. Okay, I understand that now. As a South Carolina fan, we've been a little worried in the past. We've been skating a little bit, just a little bit.
Right.
Like, I mean, the average margin of victory in my research that I was doing for this, like the average margin of victory has been 6.3 points. That's way different from last year.
Correct.
Way different from the years before.
Correct.
But what I think about is, honestly, I really think that this year is possibly Dawn Staley's best coaching year yet because of how different the makeup of the team is.
Correct.
Everybody can do, like the team, our leading scorers come off the bench, Malaysia Full, Wiley, and Joyce Edwards. We don't have that number one option like UCLA has Lauren Bess, UConn has Paige Beckers, USC had Juju Watkins. We don't have that. And we have like every game is different. Every game is somebody's different game. Like recently it's been Chloe Kitts. Before that it was Malaysia. Before that it was Tahina. Before that it was Tessa. Like everybody's different. So when I think about South Carolina, I just think that depth can be a challenge and it can be a blessing. It can be a challenge and it can be a blessing to have that. And that's what makes, I think, Coach Staley's coaching job this year more difficult. And honestly, I think it's amazing because how many coaches can say it's like a math problem with infinite possibilities? How many coaches be like, okay, if I put this, what happens if I take this piece out and put this in? What happens if I take this out and put this in? But I think there's something to be said about a team like South Carolina that's still been able to win games and not play their best basketball. We have not played our best basketball this season.
Well, that's it, without any question, it comes down to coaching, and that's why I like South Carolina because she's a very, very good coach. I've won games where we didn't have that great teams, and we won state championships with average basketball teams. And that's credit to all the coaching and the coaching staff that I had on there. We coached our ass off in 2019. We had one stud that was, kind of led everybody else, and pretty much everybody went to college, but he went to the highest level. I get it. I want South Carolina to win, but yet it's going to be a challenge. She's going to have to really bring her A game as a coach. Those players, they're going to be great. I think the point guard play is going to be the key to it. If the point guard has a bad day, South Carolina is going to have a bad day. It's just what it is. And if they can run their sets evenly and balance it, then okay. But if Texas come out on fire, they're going to have a problem.
I mean, it's a rematch of the SEC Texas.
It is a rematch. And we know South Carolina beat the dog breaks off Texas in the SEC championship.
I'm not going to discount Texas because if I get a rematch, if I get a rematch of something, I'm going to make sure that what I did last game ain't happening this game.
Hell no, you shouldn't. You should be worried about Texas.
Right. Credit to Texas. They're definitely going to come and be like, okay, what we did last game, that's not going to work. We got to switch.
Damn right.
This is a rematch. Right. With South Carolina, they just have to stick to who they are defensively. Would work last game, you forced Madison Booker to her left. She's right-handed. Every time she went to her left, her shot was off. If you can keep Madison Booker going to her left, if you can keep her off that right side, that's key. If you can keep banging boards with Chloe Kitts and Sanaya Fagan, if you can keep doing that and stick to who you are, stick to the resilience and the mentality that Dawn Staley has instilled in you guys as players since she got here, since this program has been established, you got it. But you just got to lock in. Then remember, this is a rematch. This is the fourth time we play each other. This is nothing new. If anything, you'd be like, oh man, we got to play it again. But what did we do last game that helped us? Let's do it again.
Unfortunately, Courtney, in this game, it won't matter. It won't work. I think South Carolina wins. I'm not taking Texas, even though it will be a better contest this go around. What I will say is Madison Booker won't have a bad game against South Carolina this go around. I guarantee that. Madison Booker, we know she struggled in the SEC championship game against South Carolina. Coach Staley did a great job defensively for making her life hell. That is going to be the plan coming in. But I just think that, this Texas team, they know obviously losing in the SEC championship game, they're not going to make the same mistakes again. And of course, it comes down to coaching. It's going to be a great chess match between both coaches, two well-respected coaches, because, personally, I knew Texas would be in the Elite Eight. I didn't think they would be in the Final Four. But shit, a lot of teams have shocked me this year, and Texas is one of them. But I just want to give a quick shout out to Coach Lawson at Duke. She's done a tremendous job at this Duke program since taking over. We do know that this year they are ACC champs, something that they haven't done in quite some time. She's done a great job in recruiting. Right now, Duke's got the top 5 recruiting class coming into next year. But Coach Lawson's here at Duke to stay. Despite losing the Elite Eight to a really good South Carolina team, I just think Duke is going to be is not going anywhere for a few years. As long as Coach Ivy and Notre Dame can get it together, Coach Lawson's going to be right there behind her, creeping in the back door. But Final Four picks, let's get them. We got UCLA and UConn, as well as we got South Carolina and Texas. Bryant, who do you have between UCLA and UConn, as well as South Carolina and Texas, and who meets in the Final Four and who wins in Tampa?
For the 100th time.
Yep, one more time for the people in the back. The people in the back.
It says South Carolina.
Okay.
South Carolina and UConn, with South Carolina winning it all. That's just what it is. Keep the Gamecock going. Keep the cocks going. Keep the Gamecocks rolling.
Courtney, who do you got? Who goes?
Do you
Who?
have to ask?
I think I should. I mean, we know you biased, but
Good. In a perfect world, I don't want neither one of them playing South Carolina. South Carolina just skates bypass automatic national champs. Bye. but if we have to play a national championship game, I guess I would. It's definitely UConn and South Carolina, with South Carolina winning it all. Now, granted, these are the only 3 teams that have beaten South Carolina this season, so I don't want none of them to play South Carolina. But we have to. So UConn, South Carolina winning it all, obviously. Go Cox.
Go Cox. Well, if I have to be the last person to give my picks, I think it's pretty obvious. Of course, I will not be rooting for the sneaky link. So I think Texas loses against South Carolina. I just want to be wrong for some reason, but sometimes I just have to be right. South Carolina over Texas, UConn over South Carolina. UConn cuts down the nets. Go Geno.
Wow.
I can't be like perfect. Somebody's got to go against the grain, so it's gonna be me. Geno, Paige, family of UConn, the Huskies. Coach Hurley and the men's have done it. Geno, is your time on the women's side. God damn it, let's go get it done. Let's go get it done.
Nobody likes a butt kisser.
I'm not a butt kisser. I'm a realist. Call it how I see it. Call it how I see it, Courtney. Get with the program.
Okay.
His lips are turning brown for a reason.
Right. That's what we're calling it. Like, okay.
NCAA football, Coach Deion Sanders, new record-setting deal, 5-year deal, $54 million, $10 million a year, making him the 4th paid highest college coach in the country. Well deserved, first off. And his new deal, he'll get $10 million in 2025, 2026, $11 million, 27, 28, $12 million in 2029. He did have $18.3 million left on his current deal before signing his new one. In his new contract, there is a buyout option, so we shall see. Last year was a good year after year one. We do know in the Coach Prime era in Colorado went 4-8. But what he does for this Colorado program, the attraction he brings, the stars he brings out, obviously the TV ratings that he helps networks do and produce is something that's been quite to see. I mean, they sold out every game last year at home. Season ticket prices have now skyrocketed even more. And before Deion even arrived at Colorado, they were 1-11 a year before he got there. I look forward to seeing what he does this upcoming season. Of course, no Shador. I look for who is he going to name as a starter. He hasn't announced that yet. But we get to see what this process is going to continue to be. He has said on multiple occasions that he's committed to staying at Colorado despite Jerry Jones, his former executive, I should say, pitching him a deal to come to Dallas. But I wouldn't go to Dallas either because it's nothing but a clusterfuck down there anyway. So great job by not going down there. Hold on. No, Courtney, I'm speaking the truth. Goddamn, it's a clusterfuck in Dallas. Who wants to go coach there? Who wants to go? I mean, Deion's not that stupid. I mean, he's got everything he needs at Colorado. He's got the money. He's got the portal on his side. He's got the networks on his side.
Everybody hate on America's team. Move on.
Why would we want to hate on America's team? You've been irrelevant for the last 29 years, from crying out loud. What's the big? Come on. I mean, then you hired a guy who's got no head coaching experience. He was an offensive. You hired a guy that was an offensive coordinator for the last 2 years, but didn't call a single lick of plays. Book Mike McCarthy. That doesn't make any sense at all. Zero. None. But we'll get to Dallas shortly. Courtney, give me your take on the news of Coach Deion, 5-year, $54 million deal, and what does this do for Coach Prime and his Colorado program?
Take Dallas out of it. But anyways, I think Coach Prime's new deal with Colorado is obviously huge. Like, it's and honestly, I think it's well deserved because
underpaid.
I think it's well deserved though.
He deserves more.
Sure, okay, but let's not test the waters. But we've seen the Prime effect, in full force, like not just on the field, but across the entire university. Like they sold out every game, like you said, national TV exposure in all 13 games. And honestly, and this is an interesting stat that I found too, there's even a 20% increase in applications and 50.5% increase in Black and African-American applications for Colorado. That's crazy. since Coach Prime has been there. Like, those numbers speak for themselves. He's completely changed the energy around Colorado football. And from a football perspective, I think last season was obviously a massive step forward for this team, going 9-4 in time for the first time in the Big 12 after like a 1-11 record, as you just said. And just 2 years ago, like the impact that he's had. But for now, for the first time, he won't have Shedeur. It's a little bittersweet.
I think he'll be fine.
I think he'll be fine too. I'm gonna miss seeing him, Shedeur, Shiloh. Like, I think he'll be fine, but it's gonna be a major adjustment. And like, this QB battle between Caden Salter and Juju Lewis is something to like definitely watch. And even Coach Prime has said himself, and he's made it clear he's looking for leadership, not talent, not just talent. Like, along with the talent, you have to have the leadership. Like, one of the big things with Shedeur was the mental aspect that he had to the game. Like, even people like Jimmy Horn, who said at the combine, he loved playing with Shedeur because Shedeur had mental toughness to him. He was not rattled. Shedeur was not rattled. That made him not be rattled. So along with just the talent of this next QB that's going to be the QB of Colorado, Coach Prime wants that leadership mentality that Shedeur had as well, and that mental mentality as well. And that's really the next big test for him. Like, he's built the hype, he's elevated the program, but can Colorado sustain success and keep improving? And, that's what we're going to find out this season. But
I think they can. I think they can, Courtney. I think they can.
Coach Prime's going to demand excellence. He says all the time he wants to be extraordinary, not ordinary. Like, there's nothing ordinary about that man. And, he's committed to winning at the highest level. And he said that his eyes are set on college football playoffs.
As it should. I mean, last year we knew that they came close. They lost some crucial games last season to kind of knock them out. And I when I look at this Colorado team over the last 2 years, they've improved on the defensive side, and especially that defensive lines. I think the hiring of Coach Sapp was a crucial hire, and you've seen the effects that were put in place to help that defensive line be to prevent to stopping the run and to not giving up big time yardage to what they did the year before. Bryant, you've been a fan of Deion since he arrived at Colorado. You've seen this success each year. We do know he's got this new record-setting deal with Colorado. Hopefully, he can be there all 5 years. But with this new contract, do you see Deion in Colorado taking it to another level and advancing to the college football playoff this upcoming season?
So the first thing is I want to tell Deion to let me hold something. That contract is real nice. The second thing is that I think is a new regime after his son has left. I'll be curious to see what he can do without his son, because I think he's always been there with his son. I know he added on some addition of some new coaches. He has a new quarterback, and it's kind of tough to go in there and winning with a brand new quarterback in a new system. I don't see them being as good as they were last year.
Okay.
I see them being in like a 6-6 team, building off of that and being great the following year. I still think they go to a bowl game. I was pretty much predicted their records year after year. The first year, I think I said it was going to be 4-8. I think this year I was like saying it was going to be 8-4. And it was pretty much close, or probably dead on. They still have some holes defensively, and now that they're missing their key main receiver and their key main quarterback, hard to replace those. They did replace them with some talent. Are they as good as Travis Hunter? I don't know, but other teams are loading up as well, so you can't give them automatic wins like you used to. I got them as a 6-6 team with new teams around. I don't know. Wow. It depends on the portal. What they get out of there. I can't stand the portal sometimes, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. It's just a bad thing for football, because you really can't tell if you can coach or not. We'll see. I hope they're better than 6-6. I love Deion, but I'm not sure what he can do as far as coaching and being a head coach. I'm not sure yet, but he has some great staff. No,
he doesn't.
Yeah, he has some great staff. He has some new guys coming in.
Oh, I don't like his offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I think the offensive coordinator is terrible.
I think Pat Schumer sucks.
I don't like.
He sucks.
I don't think
actually he does suck.
Great. I don't think
he's not that good. He's not that good.
The defensive line coach, he's a rah-rah guy. We all know who he is. He's a rah-rah guy. But I think I'm just gonna put it out there. I think I'm better than
Good
them.
hire. It's a good hire.
It's a good hire.
Hiring a Super Bowl champion.
Yeah. I mean,
and then not to mention they added Marshon Falk as a running back.
Right. That's a good hire.
That's a good hire.
Marshon Falk is a very, very good hire.
Yes.
By all means necessary, that's a great hire. Better than the defensive line coach. I'm just going to tell you how it is. I've watched them. and I've seen good coaches. There are a lot of other good coaches outside of him than just him. And it was
his first year coaching.
Right, but first year coaches just don't wind up being on a D1 level coaching the actual, bunch of kids. It just don't walk in. I get that. You know what I'm saying? But I've seen a lot of great
better.
But that's better. You know what I mean? He's a good rah-rah guy. But
right, man.
I've seen better.
Yes, you've seen better. Courtney, you like segments, you like funny segments, you like stuff like that, things that just that grind your gears or pisses you off. I mean, this has been debuted for the last 2 weeks now, 3 weeks. I'm sorry. We're having fun with it. We're keeping it going. But Bryant, the floor is yours. If we could get that's just see what happens when you talk about, Colorado bad coaches is connections just start messing up. That's just what it is. We'll go with me first, Chris, and then we'll get Bryant at some point if he ever comes back. It's just one of those nights where you just have to keep pushing, block out the noise. This is what life comes with adversity. Face you got to learn how to keep pushing, kick down the damn door. You can't let it get to you. Show goes on and we good. So normally Brian goes first with his segment and then I go last with mine, but we'll say Bryant for last if he can somehow figure it out. I don't know if he can. I don't even know if he will. But rewind to the week. Let's get to it. My New England Patriots signing Stefon Diggs, a wide receiver addition for Drake May. We do know Drake May is entering year 2. We do know that the Patriots have a new coaching system in place. Josh McDaniels is back as the offensive coordinator. Coach Mike Vrabel is taking charge after the firing of Gerard Mayo. Stefon Diggs coming off an ACL tear last year with the Houston Texans. I just don't know if overpaying for this brother at this point in his career is the right move to make. I think this is something that we shall see for the New England Patriots coming up this year. It'll either go two ways. It's pretty simple. It's either it'll be a great signing and it'll work out. When healthy, he can get us about 1,200 yards receiving. He can get in the end zone. We know he's a great route runner. You can put him on the outside. You can put him in the slot. Or this would be a disaster waiting to happen. He does get to face his former team, the Buffalo Bills, twice a year in the AFC East. I look forward to that. But I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at this addition. I think it's another target that you need for Drake May on this offensive side. We do know what Stefon Diggs did in Houston with C.J. Stroud. I will go on the record, and I've said it before. If Houston is healthy with Dell, and if they're healthy with Stefon Diggs in that playoff game against Kansas City, if they're playing, I got Houston beating Kansas City in that game. Bryant and I saw that game firsthand. It's hard to beat C.J. Stroud with just Nico Collins and Schultz and Mixon, but I'm not mad at this signing for the New England Patriots. I think it's something that will work out in our benefit. I do look forward to seeing the connection between them two. But Courtney, how do you grade Stefon Diggs to the New England Patriots? Do you give my Patriots a B+ or better, or is this a bad signing and overpaying too much money for a 32-year-old wide receiver coming off an ACL tear?
You want my honest opinion? You want my Dallas Cowboy fan opinion?
We don't care about your Dallas Cowboy opinion. We don't care.
Well, if you want my honest opinion.
Give me your honest opinion.
I think it's good. I give it a B, high B. I give it a high B.
I'll take that. Now give me your Dallas Cowboy opinion.
Trash. Should have came to the Cowboys.
Who wants to go play there? Who wants to go play there?
I don't know what he's missing.
Who wants to play there? Hey, we damn sure don't want to go to Chicago. Oh, hell no. We don't want to go to Chicago. Hell no. Look, Courtney, man, we might have to bring you back every week. I'm just saying. I'm Bryant, what do you think about the signing? You you've been a big person who's been on record multiple times saying anyone that tears their ACL, they never come back the same. They'll never be the same player that they once was. Stefon Diggs, 32 years old, entering this NFL season, coming off, of course, last year not being involved with the Texans. What do you think of this signing for the New England Patriots, and do you think this signing pays off?
I think it's a high risk play.
All that money, yeah.
It's a high risk play. It's hard to come back for those injuries. I've had them, so not ACLs, but damn near close. And I had spinal fusions in the whole nine, and I'm paying for those things today.
Oh yeah,
it's tough. It is very, very tough to come back from them. But we had athletes that also have torn both knees, like Cisse, that played at Stony Brook. He tore both both knees. And he just never came back. So, it's hard to put an amount of pressure on your knees when you're at that age at 32. Things start falling apart at age 29. So, my hat goes off to him. I hope he has great trainers, but he's going to struggle a little bit until he get his legs underneath him. And let's see what happens. But, I don't like the New England Patriots. Never have, never will. It's just a bunch of
course not.
Why.
Of course not.
I just can't stand them.
Okay.
I was happy when the '85 Bears absolutely destroyed them.
Still living in the past, see.
Hey, look, you wasn't born. So
I wasn't.
It's right. So I enjoyed it while you was laying up in someone's derriere.
I wasn't even thought in '85.
I know, but you were there, but you
know what I enjoyed? You know what I enjoy? I enjoy it when Tom Brady scrambled against the Chicago Bears in 2006.
Yeah, you
Brian Urlacher for the first down.
Yeah, you keep bringing that.
Every time we face Chicago, he win. You can't beat the Patriots. You can't beat the Cowboys. You can't beat the Packers. You can't beat the Lions.
The Patriots deflate footballs. They lost.
You crazy? That's an allegation. That's an allegation. That's an allegation.
Allegation. Allegation. My ass
was pissed off at New England because all we did was
they lost.
Allegation.
Hey, look, you sound like my phone just keep kicking me off because my storage is full. It's just annoying. But what's up?
It's your time, brother. Get into it.
Oh man, where do I start with this bullshit? Where do I start? Bronny, I am tired, and I'm tired of Bronny this, Bronny that. And you have other athletes out there in the G League that are that much better, and no one talks about them. Bronny is the focal point of the G League. And to me, Bronny is just an okay average basketball player, but there are other basketball players in there that are doing twice as good as he is. And they actually, one of them is Terrence Shannon Jr. that played at the University of Illinois. And he's averaging 36.5 points per game over 4 games. Shannon has a showcase remarkable scoring efficiency with a 54% field goal percentage against LeBron. Not against the bench, but against LeBron. And every week we're sitting here talking about Bronny and he playing against lower tier athletes. But this kid is playing and he's scoring 36 points against LeBron. And we're not talking about him. There's something wrong with that. I got a problem with that. There's other kids like Ricky Council. Ricky Council, same thing, 34.5 points per game, demonstrating his offense prowess. I got a problem with that. Why are we trying to just continuously sell tickets? Bronny's going to sell tickets if we don't say his name tomorrow because of his daddy. But yet, put these other kids on the pedestal. We need to know who the hell they are. They're hidden. But yet, you have Terrence Shannon that cracked him for 36 while he's on the floor. Starters. Let's give these guys a little bit more attention. I'm just saying. I could be wrong, but I know, goddammit, I'm right. It's just what it is. I want more status from these other G League players. I want to see them more inside regular games because they are two-way players. They're actually two-way players that we never hear about. I'm tired of Bronny. Bronny, work on your game. Son, you're just as good as the average college basketball player that deserves to be there as well. That is my take.
Courtney, your thoughts?
Well, you know,
I love a pissed off Brian, by the way.
You know,
I love pissed off
this
Brian.
is my first experience with pissed off Brian. So I was like, oh.
That's what it is.
You know, I'm going to show my age a little bit. I'm going to bring my Gen Z mentality in, I guess. With Brian, see, we're told all the time, you know, now in the world of NIL transfers, yada, 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 like sports is a business now. Sports is a business. And Bronny generates clicks, which are good for business. So they're going to keep talking about Bronny. They're going because he generates clicks. I mean, yes, some people may be tired of hearing about him. Yes, we don't hear about these other players, but Bronny generates clicks because of who he is. And from a business/social media person who grew up, I mean, I kind of grew up on social media. Like I grew up in the age, you know, Instagram just getting traction and, you know, Musically and TikTok and all that. Kids want to, they hear Bronny James because they know of LeBron. So they going to click on it regardless. That's why we keep hearing about Bronny. That's why every single day is something about Bronny, something about Bronny. It could just be clickbait every time. Every time it's clickbait, every time. But it's about clicks. It's about clicks. It's about the business. It's about the business. And I really think that's what it is. It's really just about the business. It's just about the business. Now, there are average fans like me and you and Monte who, honestly, we deep dive into this league because we know there are other players. But your general sports fan who maybe just click on the NBA game because LeBron's playing, all they know is the storylines outside the game. That's what they care about. They don't care about the stats. They don't care about the ins and outs. They want.
Thank you for saying that. But just say that. You know, to just say, you know what, he's really not that good. He's there for good clickbaits. He sells all tickets. He sells jerseys. He's just a marketing genius. That's
I mean, he's a marketing, but Bronny's good in his own right. He's good in his own right. But in the end, he is good for marketing. He is good for marketing.
Yeah,
it's that father-son deal. Like we saw it in NBA opening. We saw it in opening weekend of the NBA. They brought him to play with
Courtney. Courtney.
Yo.
Being good and earning are two different things.
Well, listen. We know it's a business. Like I was saying, they brought him in to play with his dad on opening weekend because that's the storyline. That was the big storyline. Where was he at the next day? In the G League. Where is he at? He keeps coming back and forth like a JV varsity player. But like
they do the same thing's Terrence.
It's good for
It's Terrence Shannon, same thing. Terrence Sanders Jr., same thing. Ricky Council, same thing. They go in and out, and we don't even know they're there.
I mean, Bryce McCowens, who's from South Carolina. I mean, he's great.
They have a list of
young talent.
Leonard Miller, young talent, which we don't know because he keep putting Bronny because of ticket sales and putting butts in seats and jersey sales and selling Coca-Cola in the stands and selling hoo-hoos and freaking Dunkin' Donuts. That's why.
Well, we got
business at the end of the day.
It is.
All the time.
Can't be mad at it.
And that's why the NBA is going like this.
Revenues down, marketing.
It's a gimmick. And you got these young Gen Zers and millennials on there arguing with me. And I done coached for 30 years. And I know a great athlete when I see one. He has some talent. I'm not saying that he's completely ass, but yet he has some talent, but it's not NBA talent. It's just what it is. He has NBA marketing skills. Call it what it is. Let's keep it what it is. I can accept that.
I mean, I just can't wait to see. I know Bronny's like, oh, all these people talking. I can't wait to see
Bronny's.
Everybody's like, Bronny? That's the same guy?
Bronny's played well of late. I'll give him credit there. He has definitely improved since the early beginning of the year. The biggest thing that comes down to Bronny in this rookie year, as well as his offseason after the season's over, is development. And I think JJ Redick and his team have done a good job so far in terms of developing his game. He's playing with more confidence. You see it in his play. He's playing with more ability to get to his spots. He's not afraid to attack the basket. He's trusting in his jump shot. But we know he's putting in the work behind the scenes. I mean, let's just face it.
Pressure is a privilege.
Pressure is a privilege. Many people fold under pressure.
He got pressure on him.
Not me, of course.
I can't wait to see him show everybody
of course. Hey, look, everybody's gonna have their opinion, no matter rather he plays well or rather he plays trash. They're gonna have their opinion regardless. But shit, face it, we got guys like Stephen A. Smith, LeBron having a nuclear war beef because of Bronny when it's not about Bronny. Because I know Stephen A.'s side, he's talking about LeBron the person and the athlete, but you can't mention one without the other. But you know, it's one of those things where, again, like I want Bronny I want to root for him. He's a Laker. I'm a Laker fan. I'm gonna root for my guys regardless. I want to see him grow into the player that he can be for the NBA. I hope he can be a leader for this Laker team in many years to come. I just think right now he's put into a position where it forces him to get better instead of organically getting better. Because let's face it, right now he's been year 2 at USC. I don't think LeBron's retiring after this year, so there's no need to even rush the process of bringing LeBron or bringing Bronny to the big leagues when you could have had him set for another year, get another year under his belt. Get him more game speed, get him more obviously experience in the game, and then go through that process. And then you have Bronny manipulating the system. Manipulating the system. If you're going to draft Bronny, you're going to draft me. He lands all the way down to the Lakers. What a dream come true. We know politically how that worked. And then it's turned out to be a position where, okay, you made history on game 1. Okay, we got Griffey Jr. and Sr. at the game. We get all of that. Now it's all about where do we go from here? You know, the Lakers right now should be, are in a position where we'll make the playoffs. We're one of the top 5 best teams in the NBA. That's good. JJ Redick's done a phenomenal job in year 1 after, of course, everyone thought that, firing, our previous head coach who all he did was pretty much sit on the sidelines with his hands in his pants all day and then not even coaching, giving me the Arthur look all the time. If you remember Arthur, then you know exactly what, Coach Ham looks like. So it's been something that it's been something that look, we around the same age, Courtey. I may know a thing or two about Arthur. Arthur, Blues Clues, Jimmy Neutron, That's So Ravens, Zach and Cody, Sweet Life, iCarly, Cartoon Network, Boomerang. Should I keep going? Can I show my age?
It just makes me sad. Kids today don't know nothing about
Bring back that kids, they don't know anything about that. That is part of the problem. Man, I couldn't wait to watch Zach and Cody during the wintertime and Christmas break. Those were the days, man. Bring us back. But we got one more segment before we go, and that is, do you floss at night, Courtney, before you go to bed? Do you floss at night?
Every time.
Okay, cool. All right. Let's get into it. This week's segment, or this week's edition of Floss with Moss, we're breaking down Coach Geno Auriemma's recent post-game press conference when he talked about NIL and more, and the solutions that can be put in place to help put some control on this wild, wild west chaos of the NIL and the transfer portal. Here it is.
Do you have any suggestions?
How to fix it?
Yeah.
The NIL part? Well,
or the portal.
Well, the NIL part, I think is, I think it's a test. It's a test for whether people are full of shit or whether they're serious. All right, so it's a test for, do we keep the charade of student athlete and amateurism, or do we call it what it is? Semi-professional, pay-for-play sports. So either keep the charade of student athlete, which, teams wouldn't be going 3,000 miles to play conference games if it had anything to do with student athlete welfare. That's number one. So we obviously threw that in the garbage can. So let's just call it what it is. We're going to pay these guys to play basketball or play football or pay them to play, any sport at a university. And then let's make it a business and figure out how do we manage this business. Other sports have done it. Pro sports, they've done it. They sign kids to contracts, and you're bound to your contract. And let's honor the terms of the contract. Let's do it. You already got kids holding out, right? You already got guys playing and going, I ain't playing anymore until I get more money. So we've become professional sports. Let's say it and let's act it, right? And let's stop the charade. The portal. How about we teach kids how to make a commitment and stick to it? All right, I get it. You want to leave. Fine. Leave. No penalties. How many times do you get a chance to leave? No penalties. Coach can leave anytime he wants. I can. I have a buyout. That's a great idea. Let's sign kids to a contract. Let's put a buyout in. Let's make it a business because that's exactly what it is. That would fix it. And let's have a salary cap, which I think this 20%, whatever it is. I think that's what it is, right? So they're getting close, but they got to start calling it what it really is and not be ashamed of it. Right? The kids aren't ashamed of it. Hey, you student athlete, you an amateur? Yeah, I am. But you get paid a lot of money. I know. Let's not talk about that, but I like it.
Bryant, did we just say this a few weeks ago? Didn't I just say this a few weeks ago? Again, how do we get here? It's because of the NCAA. Again, all this is just the unprofessionalism, the lack of structure that the NCAA has allowed this to be. I'm all for paying players. I'm all for name, image, and likeness, but I think this is just the NCAA just being dickheads about it and just putting no restrictions, no caps on anything that can happen. I mean, we got players that have been in the portal 3 years in a row. I look at a guy like Michi Johnson, the guard from Ohio State. He started his career at Ohio State, left the transfer portal, went to go play for Courtney, South Carolina Gamecock team, then got in the portal again, then came back to Ohio State, played Ohio State last year. Now he's back in the portal again. 3 years in college. 3 years. He's been 3 years. Like, things have to be put in place. Measures have to be put in place. Admins want control. Let's just call it for what it is. All these admins at these universities, they want control and want to hold on to the control as much as they can. It's much bigger than them now. This is not 10, 12 years ago where you had those controls and universities that were put in place. And back when players were committing to universities and playing 2-3 years before either going to the NBA or staying for 4 years and earning a degree. Those days are over. The days of players being committed, there's no commitment. I can't. I don't even know if you're going to be with me at the end of the season before the end of the season even gets here, because you're already talking to other coaches and other players on different teams, and you're already talking with your agent to negotiate your next NIL deal. How do we get here? How are we supposed to have teams put in place, build on structure, build on sacrifice, build on commitment? How can I get your commitment when you could be leaving at the end of the season? I mean. There's got to be a cap on players. There's got to be a cap on coaches. I mean, coaches have buyouts in their contracts. I'm all for that. It's always been that way. If another team wants to come out and get you, they have to pay that minimum, that fee, as they say. But when I look at Kevin Willard, another example, right? He did the same thing he did at Maryland that he did with Seton Hall to leave Seton Hall to go to Maryland. Basically saying he had no idea that he hasn't talked to his agent in a while. He hasn't talked to the AD. We know the AD left and went to go take another job, and we know his agent was behind the scenes negotiating his deal the entire time. How could you not know what your agent is doing when your agent represents you? It's a representation of you. Your agent and you have to be communicating at all times, regardless of what happened, whether it's Monday morning or Sunday night. So I'm not against Kevin Willard leaving for Villanova. You have to do what's best for you. Coaches are in the portal also. Let's not forget about it. But just to piggyback on what Geno is saying, the NCAA has to put a commissioner in place. There has to be a commissioner for the men's side, and there has to be a commissioner for the women's side. And whoever that commissioner may be, rather he or she has to come in and set some rules and foundation, because it is a wild, wild west. It is a no-holds-barred match between all these universities and donors and people that have the money to just throw at these campuses to pay for play. Like signing guys to multi-million-dollar deals, and they haven't even played a professional or collegiate game yet, is insane. So now we're just paying off a talent of what we see. We haven't even, who knows? I mean, Bryce Underwood getting over $12, $13 million in Michigan. He may go to Michigan year one and be a bust. I don't want to lose Ohio State. I've been comfortable kicking their ass every year. I want to keep that tradition rolling. Urban Meyer had his fun. Why can't we? So I couldn't agree more, but I want to bring Brian and Courtney back on this before we go. Courtney, what's your takeaway on Coach Auriemma's comments in regards to the NIL and the transfer portal, and what things would you like to see from the NCAA to put things in place to have it more structure and control on both sides, both men and women?
You know, it's interesting. You brought up Meechie Johnson, right?
Yup. Sure did.
Man, you brought up Meechie, and Meechie is a good example. Like, he played at Ohio State, came to South Carolina, went back to Ohio State. Where is he at now? He's back in South Carolina. He's back. He's back.
How'd that work?
How'd that work? He's back.
That's like an ex-girl you can't get over.
He's back. And, like, you know, it just I wouldn't say I don't know. As a head coach, if you leave my team for another team, now keep in mind when Meechie left South Carolina, that was probably the best season that we've ever had since I don't even know when.
Since Frank Martin was head coach and he brought you to the tournament.
Since Frank Martin, Sedarius Thornwell, since that team, that was probably the best run that South Carolina has ever had.
Yep.
You leave the team when that was like one of our greatest seasons.
Why did he leave?
Why do you leave?
You know why? You know why?
I don't know. People exactly. People have their reasons.
NIL.
I see, and I agree with him. I don't agree with Geno on a lot of things, but on this, I actually agree. Like and even Dawn Staley and Kim Mulkey and other coaches have said something like this before. Like, sports is getting, like, especially college, it's supposed to be amateur, but now you're getting into the realm of it's moving like professional sports. And for the women's side, let's really focus on the women's side, because that's actually where I see like a lot of the big changes. The WNBA don't get paid as much as the men. That's obvious. Everybody knows that. Unless you're a top pick, you don't get paid as much. But these college players like Flau'jae Johnson, let's use Flau'jae as an example. Juju Watkins, you are the face of college basketball. You are getting these $5 million, $10 million deals, Nike commercials. You're on this billboard. You got Beach. You got this. You got that. The WNBA don't sound that good when I'm making this kind of money in college.
Nope.
And then on top of that, you're still kind of on the outs of the COVID grads and the, COVID seniors that still have that extra year of eligibility because of COVID. I graduated in 2021, so about class of 2021, recruiting class 2022, that's kind of like that last little bit of COVID people. But still, like, they still have a year of eligibility for the women. Why am I going to go to the WNBA if I don't think I'm going to be a first-round draft pick and I'm making this type of money in college? I'm going to ride this out. And then if I'm the face of my team, I'll stay. But if somebody else is coming in behind me, I'm not the face of my team, I want to go be the face of somebody else's team and make more money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's that thing that I think needs to get a hold on, because it could be bad when you don't have that type of regulation, like you said, a commissioner or something like that. It's going to get a little touchy, because then you don't have that as a coach. You don't have that commitment with a player. And that's honestly where I think Coach Scheyer for Duke, I think he understands the climate of today with the NIL and the transfers. And he builds his team based on trust and relationship. And Cooper Flagg has said this before. A lot of players have said this for Duke, have said this in interviews and stuff. They like Coach Scheyer's honesty. He's going to give them honesty every time. He's not going to sugarcoat things. He's going to tell you what you need to hear when you need to hear it. He's not going to kiss your butt as, maybe a coach like Cooper Flagg, lottery pick, first round draft pick. Everybody knows that. Right. Most coaches would kiss his butt, because I want you to stay with my program. Coach Scheyer is not going to do that. He's honest, and Cooper Flagg loves that honesty. And even his mom has said that Cooper will go to bat for this dude. He has Cooper's trust, point blank, period. Trust. If he's done, that's fine. But he has Cooper's trust, and I really think that I agree with Coach Auriemma on this. Like, NIL transfers, that needs to get a hold on, because this, like, I'm going to this team. Actually, I like you. I'll come back, because I wasn't doing as well as I thought when I left this team. Like, the whole, like, Meechie, perfect example. Boom, boom, boom. Like, at least he can say he's only been with two teams his entire college.
The transfer in 4 years.
At least he can say that. At least he can say that. At least he can.
Let's just call it what it is.
As a South Carolina fan,
of course you're happy.
Last year,
of course you're happy.
Like, you left when we were good. Like, now the fan base, we can't trust you, man.
Well, this is last year, so you ain't got nothing but to do but trust him.
Like you left. You let Colin Murray Boyles get banged up. Like you left.
Bryant. We lost Bryant again. This hey, look, it's something that's just been I can't imagine as a head coach, obviously knowing that you have a roster where scholarships are earned, not given, and you have a player that's talking to other teams throughout the year, focus isn't there, and then you have to pretty much recruit your player to stay because most of the time these players want money, but like again, like there has to be a certain your NIL deal is your NIL deal. Earn, not given. You deserve the money that you receive and all the sponsorships that comes with it. Yes, market that, own your stuff, create something that's going to generate revenue for yourself and your family. I'm all for that. What I'm not for is players having the ability to come and go as they please and cheating the grind in the process, right? Because when you are programmed 2-3 years, that's sacrificing your summer to get better. That's just putting in the work, getting it out the mud. That's trusting your coaching staff as well as trusting your head coach and trusting the players that he comes in to help build the championship caliber team to have an opportunity to go play in an NCAA tournament as well as to have an opportunity to go play in the Final Four. Those are the things that matter. I think right now a lot of players are just living in the moment and doing what's best because it's what's popular, is what we see every day. The portal is getting hotter every day in terms of players, and every player that's not in the portal ain't gonna make it. Every player
for women's basketball, Olivia Miles. Ooh, I'm like, what?
Don't bring that up. Don't.
I'm not. We're not even gonna talk about that. But it's just a learn. It's just a learning curve.
I'm really sad when you say that.
And you know what? That's all right. It's just gonna be.
It's not okay. She's one of our best players, and she's leaving. She's leaving. Coach Ivy has been doing a phenomenal job at Notre Dame and what she's done since taking over the program. Notre Dame has had some success in the ACC as well as the NCAA tournament. And damn it, she's leaving. Now, I hope Hannah stays. I love Hannah deeply. I think she's the best guard in the country. Hell, I think she's the best player in the country. That's just my opinion. I'll die on that hill. But don't bring up Hannah. See, it makes me upset. I don't want to be upset. I want to be happy.
It's just the environment. Everything is new when it comes to NIL and transfer. And it's just something that over time, each year, you work through it. Each year, you get new rules, new regulations, and you work through it. So,
all right. Well, Courtney, we're getting ready to sign this thing off. But for the people that's watching as well, the people that will watch, give them where they can find you on social media and how they can support you as a senior at South Carolina. Go Gamecocks.
I can be found on my Instagram at Courtney. That's Courtney with 3 Y's, not 1, not 2, but 3. .Renee, Renee. And then what else? Oh, LinkedIn. I'm a LinkedIn warrior. So Courtney Holloman, my LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn more than I use Instagram, but whatever. But yeah, LinkedIn, Instagram. Yeah, all the above. All my information is on those platforms.
Okay. Shout out to Courtney. I want to give a special thank you to my co-host, BG Bryant Garvin. He will not be joining us as we close this thing off, but he gives his well wishes as always. I want to give a special thank you to my dog, Chris, in 1990 Studios for obviously the vision and the trust that they have in me. Hopefully Chris in 1990 Studios don't pull an NIL or pull a portal move and leave or say they're leaving or whatever. I'm enjoying this ride just as much as I know my brothers over there is. If you haven't, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Rewind _GSC3. We just cracked over 150 subscribers. We're on the road to 200. Need all the help and love and support that we will get. We have some spring merch coming out for you guys for the brand in the next few months. Be on the lookout for that. If you haven't, please follow us on all our social medias, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts at the Rewind _GSC3. Man, it's been a great episode. Hope you guys enjoy Final Four weekend, both men's and women's on Friday and Saturday. I know I am. Courtney, I got to say thank you so much for blessing me with your time. You've done a phenomenal job. A lot of people have been texting me privately saying that they loved you and that they want to see you come back. Me and you we are looking for a female co-host. I'm just saying, FYI, I may wink a little too. Courtney, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
To my co-host, Bryant Garvin, to my guest, Courtney Holloman, to my guest, Brandon Hayward, to my other guest, Darryl White. Monte Moss, 1990 Studios, signing off. Enjoy Final Four weekend as well as enjoy the games. Go Duke.
Let's go!
I was checking out the scouting report, and I don't see nothing but bums. You and your whole entire world know that I am the one. You and your squad ain't got nothing for me.
Hey.
Your organization is looking stressed,
What?
and now that you haters is running from me, I know that you see that I'm highly blessed.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, we live with your boy Coach G. Yeah, we live with your boy Monte.
You and your squad ain't got nothing for me. Your organization is looking stressed, and now that you haters is running from me,